So Osman, do you think the incumbent bank will die? And what do you think the future of banking will be looking like?
I think these questions keeps coming in different places, but I would say, I personally, the banking will remain in some form or other. I think when the fintech came in, the banks probably thought them as a threat, or went on a defensive strategy or ignored them. But things have changed very quickly. And I would say that the sense of that they are the disruptors or they are not going to take my business away, that mentality has changed very fast. Now, as I said in my previous conversation with you, the customer is the king. Whether it's a bank or fintech, it all depends on the motivation, on the culture, and client centricity. If you don't have that, you don't have right to exist because customer decides. Now, when I talk about why fintechs have been a value add that banks have realized, I think there are a few things. One is banks have realized and observed that the fintech increases the opportunity to differentiate quickly. So if you want to personalize, if you want to differentiate, it is a lot easier for a fintech to provide. So why compete? Why not partner? So that mindset has come in. And then when you have a fintech, there is another angle that fintech also serves as a spark. It becomes a spark in the organization if you are collaborating and partnering, which is quite different in a traditional bank where I've spent so many years to really have that culture very quickly, despite all the right intention from the management. And I would say the third one is, as I conclude on this, that the fintechs are no longer going to disrupt the banks. In my opinion, they are only going to power the banks. So this is more and more going to take place. Banks are already, I know, and many of you know, the incumbent banks are partnering. They're searching for fintech to invest. So there is a clear trend that this is what the demand of the day is, and this is how we should move going forward.
So to summarize, the future of banking will be looking like the incumbent banks and partnering with the fintechs.
Yes, I mean, in a way, it is a complementary. So gone are those days where you can just sit back and you still have customer and still have revenue. Whoever, whether it's a bank or a fintech, has got the customer at the heart and the culture to serve, they would remain. And that partnership is only fast tracking for banks. So in fact, the benefit is going to the customer. And it's a collaboration that you're going to see more and more taking place.
And how do you think the technology will play a part in this?
Oh, it's a huge part. This is where fintechs have the competitive edge. Why fintech? Because bank cannot change so fast. So fintech can help them to customize, to personalize, to contextualize. I mean, you can't do that in a traditional bank because you have legacy data, legacy infrastructure. It's very difficult to move. So if you collaborate, to a customer, it is seamless. Customer doesn't care whoever is giving it.
That's probably also the reason why I think in Singapore we have seen a lot of APIs, open API concept.
Absolutely. So regulators play a very big role. They have created regulatory the sandbox. You do POC, you partner. APIX has been set up here in Singapore, and the MAS is playing a huge role to facilitate that. And I think that is why Singapore is moving so fast to achieve their smart nation.
So Osman, share with us, what do you think if one day Amazon, Google, or Facebook, would they become banks?
Good question, very interesting. If you look back at the history, regulators have always intervened. Government or regulators, because this is a sector where you become too big and your whole financial system goes into single hand. And I don't think any regulators or any government globally would ever allow that to happen. So the answer is no. But there will be multiple players. As long as there is no monopoly, because it goes against like anti-monopoly regulations, and that's why I don't think any single one, the way they have dominated in other industries, in financial services, that won't happen.
But if they do start offering some kind of financial services, like using the concept of banking as a service, embedded finance, what do you think the regulator will do?
Well, that's pretty okay. I mean, not in Singapore, but we know, right? Apple is launching credit card in the West. The back-end support comes from Goldman Sachs. So yes, you can, as long as you are not that big a player that who controls majority of the market share. I think that's fine.
Thanks for your sharing, Osman, between banks and the fintechs. I think it's really interesting to hear about the history, the ability, motivations, and how things will be like for the future of banking. Now, there's one question I always want to ask you, Osman, is after working for the incumbent bank for over 25 years, what it is like to work for a fintech? Can you share with us like some of the people who are considering pursuing a career in fintech's environment?
I would say a word, learn. And why I say learn? First is L. It's basically you need to have the ability to learn and unlearn. So whatever I have learned, in a way I have to unlearn and adapt to this new ways of looking at things. So that's L. E, I would say execution, get things done. And then A is be agile and adapt. And R, I would say relationship, build your network, go out, because it's a complete different world that I feel that the more I do, the more I am integrating myself. And N is your niche. It's what you are good at. Don't try to do everything. Get your niche and go for it. So learn. If you follow, I'm definite anyone can be very successful.
In the fintech environment.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for sharing, Osman. It's great to have you here with us.
Thank you, Paula.